I programmed everything myself, so I know exactly how the characters can move in the areas and all of this. Only causes problem because when you are searching for an answer,
you don't know if you're getting the right one
unless it's programming related. And that's ironic, but the thing with Unity, it's that it's not unified. It's called Unity, but there is no unity in anything. Like the engine, it's a mess. Like you have like all these pipelines that are like separated, and nothing makes sense. Like you start the engine and you don't know where to go. Like,
I see. Okay.
You have the shader graph, but you also have like the native programming shading, and then you have the visual scripting. If you tick an option, and you need to tick another option to have the post process, but that post process doesn't work in this pipeline. You need to use another pipeline or change the post process for that pipeline, and it's so messy. Basically, when you choose a pipeline, you are forced to that pipeline because all the shaders and all the things that you do in that pipeline doesn't work on the other pipeline. So if you want to change to the other pipeline, you need to convert everything to the other pipeline. Having different pipelines, different methods to do things, different engines inside the engine, and all of this only causes problem because when you are searching for an answer,
you don't know if you're getting the right one
unless it's programming related. It's programming. If you're just searching for programming related, in that sense, I will say, there's a community in Unity, in forums, and all of that related to coding and programming. When we talk about visuals, there is not a lot of info out there when it comes to visuals. You have problems with hair. Well, fuck you. I don't care. Like,
How is Unreal different from that?
Unreal doesn't have pipelines. It's like everything is one thing. That's it. Like you have Unreal, you start Unreal, and that's what you get. But I will say there's a lot of coding tutorials, programming tutorials, and even the forums in Unreal Engine. At least right now, I don't know how it was like some time ago, but at least right now there is a lot of support in Unreal Engine too. I didn't have any problems. I mean, I didn't know how to program anything when I started. So everything that I've learned in Unreal Engine
is through that
with forums. Or
I see. Okay. On top of all of that, there are free Unity plans, but if you want access to all the resources, you pay right out the gate. They have the Pro plan. You pay for that. I don't know the specific pricing, but you are charged per month for that. And Unreal, you don't pay until you reach certain income levels, and that's revenue share based.
You don't need to pay anything. The part, and
it's
also
free.
Like the people in Unity, like they have this Pro thing, and you get assets made by Unity and all of that. It's funny because in Unreal you get that for free. Like the Matrix demo, you get the full Matrix demo. It's something pretty crazy because it's a literal game or a tech demo with a full city, full systems of NPCs, full traffic systems, hundreds of cars, hundreds of NPCs, full character moveset, everything for free that you can open, and you get all the code, you get all the programming, everything. You get absolutely everything from visuals to the code, and you get that for free.
So realistic, right? Realistic in 3D, that's a big draw for Unreal. I've heard a lot of people say that if you're not looking to make games within that specific market type and you want to make something different, whether it's like, the artistic, I don't even know what it's called, the artistic style where it's like more hand-drawn, more like art-driven, that's not built for Unreal. Is that something that you find is true? Or like I say, you want to build like a pixelated game or something like that, is that something you could do in Unreal?
For a pixelated game or a 2D game, you can build that in Unreal without problems. You have like a sprite assets and everything. So you can actually do a game like Octopath Traveler that combines 3D and 2D with sprites and light and everything. You can do that. So actually I have a friend doing that right now in Unreal. When it comes to something like cel shading, like anime, the thing with Unity is that the shading, you can actually modify the shading pretty easily because you have like different pipelines and all of that, right? Unity, but in Unreal you only have like one pipeline. Well, one pipeline. You only have one shader model, right? It's for shading, and that's what you get. Like that's also the main reason why transparency works really badly in Unreal, because it's forward shading, and that's what you get. And there's no way to fix it. But it's made basically for more realistic stuff for sure. But you can implement, and you can actually modify like the actual code a bit, and you can do some stuff to obtain basically the same quality as, for example, Genshin Impact in terms of cel shading. So you can do it, but it's a bit more complicated, I guess. It's not about stylized or 2D or all of that. It depends on the type of shading. If your game is cel shading, you're gonna have more problems, but it's possible to do that. It's not impossible.
Like best practices, right? As somebody who's been doing this, it's been 3 years now, restarted it last year from scratch in Unreal. What are some of those best practices that you have picked up while you're creating this game right now?
I would say the hardest thing in this game is the level. As you say, it's basically open world, but it's not only open world from a horizontal perspective, right? Like most open worlds, you have like a huge terrain and you can just walk. It's also vertical and vertical in a lot of ways. Basically, the cities are basically vertical and the landscapes too, and everything is vertical. So I use Blender and Unreal when I do stuff. I model in Blender and then I import everything in Unreal. That's my workflow. And I usually just do everything in Blender. Like also, for example, the level design, right?
Yeah.
I don't do the level design in Unreal. And this might sound pretty weird to a lot of developers because normally you want to do the level design inside the game with tools inside the engine, right?
Yeah.
Because that way you can test it
as you go.
Exactly. And that makes sense when you are in a team. I programmed everything myself, so I know exactly how the characters can move in the area. So that's the main reason why I can model directly the level inside other application like Blender, because I know I just need a reference of the height of the character, like the scale, like the height, and then I can model everything in Blender. That's my workflow basically. Just moving the camera is really complicated in Unreal, right? Complicated. When you come from another app, it's a bit meh. So building everything in Blender is key for me. Like when I'm doing like a level or something like that, it's really important because that helps a lot. If you want to do a game like this, obviously don't stay in Unreal, because I know a lot of developers obviously don't know how to use 3D modeling apps because you have all these mega scans, all these free assets and all of this, and sometimes you don't even need to go outside of the engine because you have like literal marketplace with animations and everything, and a lot of developers literally don't do anything outside of the engine.
Yeah, they work with the assets available and leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when they need something like outside of that, they probably just ask a freelancer and all of that. So I would recommend like anyone learn another 3D application. That's key. And same with animation and all of that. Obviously, animating in Unreal. There are tools right now to animate in Unreal, so that's cool. But I recommend just learning another application made for animators, right? The gameplay animations, the things that you're seeing all the time, that's done in manual keyframes, basically. So handmade animation, I guess. Like you animate that by hand, basically.
This sounds like a lot of work right there, man.
Yeah, like the combat and everything, all of that is hand animated from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? And then the only thing that it's not hand animated, it's the cutscenes. So basically, the cutscenes of the game are made using motion capture. Same with the facial animation during these cutscenes, facial and body. All of that is motion capture, and then it's clean up a bit inside Blender, and then imported. Real.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's the process. Yeah, that's only for cutscenes animations. For gameplay, everything is handmade because it's something that you're seeing all the time. So
are the cuts
to be really polished? I actually act all the characters, like even the female characters, everything. So it's a bit cringy when you are seeing everything from outside, right?
Somebody walking by and sees what's going on, like, what the hell is happening?
That was a funny situation if I record myself with a suit.
That's funny. Cosplayer and game dev, I love it.
But yeah, that's basically how I do it. So basically record the motion capture with the body, then record the facial motion capture.
And then you're good.
And then I just mix everything. And then I do a bit of cleanup Blender with everything mixed. And then I import everything in Unreal. And then you need to put the cameras and the lighting and everything.
Yep.
That's basically the workflow.
You are working through, you had a Kickstarter, correct? And then you also work through the Epic MegaGrant. Explain that to me, right? Break down how you approach your Kickstarter and the grant exactly, and that process.
I don't have a Kickstarter, but I have a Patreon, basically.
Okay.
I didn't do the Kickstarter basically because of normally you need to do also a lot of physical things and stuff like that. I have a Patreon basically that offers similar things to a Kickstarter in a digital way, and it's also limited, right?
And you had a strategy behind getting Patreon as opposed to Kickstarter, correct? And there's a reason specific to taxation, all of that.
That depends on where you live, basically. It depends really where you live, because Kickstarter have different taxation here in Spain. When in crowdfunding, basically, than for example Patreon and other stuff. So it depends really on where you live, basically. Another thing with Kickstarter is where I say, like, I wouldn't do a Kickstarter unless you need to do a lot of things in terms of physical releases and a lot of stuff. So it's a bit more complicated in that sense. It's a lot of work apart from what I do. The cool thing about Patreon is that you're supporting the game, but you're also supporting me in a way, right? So another thing that I do in Patreon is, for example, I post tutorials too, like exclusive tutorials, and something that it doesn't take me a lot of time, and I also post like exclusive updates of the game, right? The thing with Kickstarter is you get all the money and you do the taxes for all that money. That's a big problem.
Yeah,
that's a really big problem with when it comes to taxes here in Spain specifically, because we have high taxes, right? Having monthly payments, it's a bit better in that way. It's better for managing like the money for that month and everything. And until I have like big funding, and that will come with, as you said, like the Epic MegaGrant, for example, or a publisher. Obviously, I'm gonna have the Epic MegaGrant. I talk to Epic, and I have friends, for example, and people that I know that have the Epic MegaGrant, like other developers, and I talk to them, and I know how it works basically. So basically, it counts as a donation. That's also good because if you are here, for example, in Spain or another place where you have high taxes, that doesn't count as money like investment or something like that. It's taxable, but it's much lower. It's a different type of taxes. You need to pay a bit, yeah, but it's the same it was. So that's pretty cool too, because it's a donation. It's basically a gift, so you don't own anything to Epic. That's also another thing. It's a program by Epic, but you don't own anything to them. You don't need to pay royalties.
It's not a loan, it's a grant. Yep, exactly.
Because you are doing that for in Unreal, and it's actually pretty cool because people who wanted to change from Unity to Unreal, for example, and if you want to change your project from Unity to Unreal, you can ask for a grant even if you don't have the project in Unreal.
Isn't the MegaGrant specific to 3D games though? Correct? Or am I wrong?
No,
it's not. Okay.
It's for everything done in Unreal, even if you're not doing a game. If you imagine you're doing an animation, animation in Unreal, that also counts as a grant. Basically.
I see.
So it doesn't even need to be a game. It doesn't need to be anything, and it doesn't need to be in the engine right now. Like if you have a game, a build or anything, in the engine, you can send it, and it will count like as I need this money basically to change the engine. So there's a lot of options, and it's pretty easy to apply. You just need to have like a form. You need to
fill it
form
out.
basically. They normally take a bit. You gotta like sometimes even a year. So don't expect to get like
You're not getting it tomorrow.
So it really depends on a lot of factors, on the quality of the game. So
what about the royalties that Unreal pulls once you reach that certain income level? Is that affected at all by this? Like, will they pull higher royalty?
No. This actually just free money. It's literally a donation. It's a gift.
As you look at the industry as a whole, right? As a game developer, a sense of community is a big deal. Being part of a community is a massive aspect of the industry. Leaning off each other's ideas, talking with them, it's a very big part of development. For you specifically in Spain, that is a little bit of a different experience for you. Elaborate on that.
At least in my experience, like there is a community here in Spain, definitely. There is a community, but it's not easy to enter into this community. And I don't want to be critiqued about this. It's just something that I noticed that I don't know why, at least for me, I don't fit this community, not because I don't want to, but because I don't know how to enter. It's really hard. I follow a lot of other like indie devs outside of Spain, right? And they follow me and all of that. You talk to them and pretty nice, pretty chill. Here Spain is a bit different. I follow a lot, but they don't follow back. And talking to them, and sometimes it's a bit weird. Sometimes they answer and they are pretty chill. Sometimes they don't answer. I mean, there are a lot of other game devs here in Spain that are pretty open, but something I noticed is that they have the same problem. They can enter in that community. They are like in another community. It's not connected, right? And it's pretty weird because Spain is not that big. Everything should be more unified. It feels more unified outside of Spain than inside, in a way. A lot of people won't agree with this because a lot of people are part of these communities. Not me. I feel more loved in a way outside of Spain than inside of Spain, which is weird. And not only from the game developer aspect, but it's also, for example, in media. I've seen a lot of articles about the game, obviously, outside of Spain. Here in Spain, not really a lot. And I don't think it's only something exclusive to my game. I think it's something that happens with a lot of games. And the thing is, I feel more loved outside of Spain, not in terms of players, because a lot of players in the events and everything, they come and they enjoy the game and everything. So I have a lot of support from Spanish players, a lot of support from everywhere. But in terms of game developers, media, and content creation here in Spain, there is something that I don't know what's happening. But it's weird. It feels like a conspiracy thing, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not. I'm not that important, right? But it feels weird. I think it's not only me. I think this happens with a lot of other people. I will say, in terms of support of people, this thing, people support you, like comments. You can see the people following you from different countries and all of that. There's nothing wrong there. Like everything is. The game has been pretty big. A lot of people are supporting the game. I'm just grateful for everything that is going on. So I'm really grateful. I'm just saying this in a way of, I just find it sad that here in my country, it's not the same way as in other places.
We haven't really talked about the game itself itself, though, right? So give me the elevator pitch for it, right? Talk to me about the mechanics, talk to me about the game world, the story. Give me what players should expect from this game.
The game, it's basically hack and slash in terms of combat, but with a lot of RPG elements, a lot of them. And it also have like these live sim elements similar to Persona or Yakuza, where you can interact with the area. So it's a mix of all of that. It's really a mix of a lot of games, actually. And then you have also like the Persona system, basically the day system, the calendar system, the day passes, and you have like relationships, activities, and all of that. So you can expect also like this free time of Persona, right?
Yeah.
But then the combat is something that you will see more in something like Platinum games, basically, like something like Nier or something like Bayonetta.
Yeah.
So it's something more like that, right, in terms of combat. But then the bosses are something completely different. It's more similar to something that you will see in a Souls or even in a God of War, in terms of these big ass bosses that are really big and you are really small, right? Like the original God of Wars. So it's a mix of a lot of things. Then you have like flying in the game. Like in terms of movement, it's more like you have a lot of free movement, double jump, through jump, like a lot of jumping, a lot of acrobatics, and you even have a bike, right? So you can ride the bike. Yeah. So you have like also like animals in the world, for example, and you even have flying, right? So it's more similar to Anthem, the flying. So it's a mix of a lot of games, not only RPG. I just grabbed what I like it for each game and try to combine everything in a logical way. Right?
Is it strictly single player, or is it have co-op or multi?
No, it's single player. I see. Okay. Fully single player. It's a single player story. So basically, you can expect a heavy story too.
Do you have a release window right now?
Not really. I mean, I always say the same thing. It's you can expect the game in probably 2 years.
I see.
Probably less.